Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wild Wing Cafe out here at Bob University, and this week's edition of the Alan Major Show on 1660 WBCN. Alongside Charlie Frederick and Coach Alan Major, I'm Matt Swarad. Glad to have you along tonight on the 49erfanatics.com broadcast center here inside Wild Wing Cafe. And the Niners coming off a tremendous victory last night against the Xavier Musketeers, winning 66-62 at Halton Arena to pick up their 150th win all time in that fantastic venue. And they go for 151 homecoming this Saturday afternoon against the Colonials of George Washington. Our phone number is 704-358-8768, 704-358-8768. We also have some email questions for the coach that we've already received. And if you want to have an email question read next week, the email address is major49ershow@yahoo.com. Well, Coach, great to see a quick turnaround from last night, but what a fantastic night it was.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, Niner Nation had its best, and the white out. I didn't want to go the Rick Pitino route with the white suit, so I got to stay.
You look like Colonel Sanders in that suit.
Yeah, no, I'd rather eat his chicken, not dress like him, But it was fun. I mean, the section behind us is tremendous, and the crowd. It seemed like every time we needed a big stop, we got a big basket. They were right there. And so, those nights are special. And, we want to get to the point we were talking about last night, I think, where, you play big because Charlotte's playing. And it's not because the opponent's a big opponent or a BCS school, or you don't play big because you're at Time Warner Arena. You play big because it's, Charlotte's playing tonight. And so that's the vision, and that's what we ultimately want. But it was fun. Proud of the kids. I mean, they really played hard.
You look at the way the season is played out right now, and there are a lot of teams when you look at standings and conferences, see a team that might be 2-6, and think, well, that's a sure win whenever we play them. And that is far from the case. It doesn't matter who we're playing this year, with the wins against Tennessee, Georgia Tech on the road, the close losses. I don't think anyone looks forward to playing us like maybe some other teams in the conference that are having down years.
Yeah, that's that's what you want. I mean, you want to be hard to if you do get beat, you want to be hard to beat, and where we're still growing is just to make sure that we don't beat ourselves. We had a few games this year, and obviously I point the gun at myself, but you look back on film, and there's a few times where we've probably caused our own demise, but we've continued to grow out of that. I mean, 11 turnovers last night's a great stat, and we just want to be this team. We told our guys today. I mean, the life of this team is dwindling. For every team in college basketball is going through that. I mean, Anwan Wilderness and Charles Dewhurst have eight games, 30 days and 19 practices left. So we don't want to waste a day. We want to make sure we get better every single day because, like that, it'll that's what you got guaranteed. Whatever you get from that, you earn it. So, we just try to enlighten them to that, and hopefully they look at that as like, hey, let's not waste a day. Let's just keep getting better.
Coach, you said from day one when you were hired at UNC Charlotte that you wanted a team that went after loose balls, went hard to the backboards, and really did it that last night, especially Javaris Barnett.
Yeah.
Went after a loose ball at midcourt, a huge play at that
It
time.
was.
And later, or maybe earlier in the game, got a real big offensive rebound where he did not have position, but he just went up and got it over the defender from Xavier.
There was two, both in the second half, I believe. And the loose ball play was huge because he got us a timeout. We kept possession, and Braz had taken a shot and gotten a little bump that got off balance. Against high-level games and high-level teams are going to let you play, but JB just kind of went up and took off and got the ball and stuck it back in. It was a big putback. It was during that run where we kind of got some separation. So it was a team effort. And you look at last night's stat sheet, everybody chipped in.
Got a rules question talking about the Javaris Barnett hustle play. When it was right in front of our broadcast spot, when he dove and got that ball and called a timeout, when it was clearly in his possession, his momentum diving after it, he slid about 5 feet. So my question is, what is the difference between that and if you're holding onto the ball and you fall down and they immediately call a travel? Why is one a travel, one not?
The referee's mood.
Okay, that's a good answer. I just wondered because he's right in front of me, grabs it, trying to call timeout, slides 5 feet. So I'm thinking,
no, I was scared.
Either it is or it's
I thought
not.
for sure he was going to call travel. I really did. Maybe having a white uniforms on versus being on the road was part of it too. Thank God for a little home cooking, but it's tough. I mean, sometimes if a guy gets on top of you and causes that extra maybe they give you a break. But I thought for sure they were going to call travel, but thankfully he didn't. It was a great play.
And that you mentioned the second effort on the glass going and just yanking
Yeah.
it away from a Xavier defender
Yeah.
and putting it back up and in. That was fantastic.
Yeah, we call those 50-50 balls. And a 50-50 ball is basically if you and I, there's a loose ball that's right there, and I got my eyes on it and you got your eyes on it. That's how games change. Do I get it or do you get it? And we had a few of those last night where JB had two of those plays right there, and there was a couple more, but those plays change games, no doubt.
In the heat of the moment, it's hard if you're last night, Jamar Briscoe, late in the game, he's got that ball. You don't want to turn it over. You got a 4-point lead, so he's hoping that they're going to foul him.
Yeah.
In that instance, when you're coaching the play, is that what you want him to do, just to maybe get fouled, but you don't want to turn it over, have a layup at the other end, so don't try to dribble through a double team?
Yeah. I mean, if he can get rid of it, right away, great, but he's, one of our better free throw shooters, so you want him to you want him to hang on to it and get fouled. It's kind of a catch-22. And what's funny is you watch some of those games, and sometimes they're reaching and grabbing, and the refs just will call a foul. And sometimes it's a jump ball. Other times they'll reach in and grabbing, and it's a foul, and or it's a jump ball maybe, and they call a foul. So that's another, like, did he travel while he's sliding or did he not? It's the same thing. So, Deuce felt bad about it, but, at least, you get to set your defense if they get the ball back, as opposed to, like, Matt just said. I mean, if you try to get rid of it, you bobble it, you're right by their rim, they lay it in. It's, at least you didn't turn over for points.
Coach, we got to talk about the strange situation at the end of the game. Chris Braswell got a defensive rebound. He was fouled, but he ends up going to the line. Then they discover he was actually charged with a technical after they looked at the video for inadvertent elbow.
Right.
What were you thinking at that time? I was doing TV for Fox Sports Ohio, running a camera, and those guys didn't have a clue what was going on.
Right.
And I don't think anybody in the building did because it was never really announced.
No,
what
I didn't
going
know
on in your mind?
until Frank Scagliotta came down and said something. The thing that got that sick feeling in your stomach is when they went back on the monitor to look at if it was intentional or not. If an elbow draws blood, they consider that intentional. And I still don't know the complete rule because you used to be able to turn in your space. And if you turned in your space, you were okay. If you went out of your radius to go get a guy, then that's when they got you. But, I knew he was in foul trouble already. He just so happened that a disqualified guy missed 2 free throws is what happened. So they didn't know that at the time. They had to go back and find that out. And then I thought that the opposing team would get to pick like an injury. The opposing team gets to pick who shoots free throws like we did with Kenny Freeze.
Yeah.
Early in the half, and he goes 1 for 2, or in the game early in that half. And but in that situation, we were able to pick who shot the free throws, and lo and behold, number one, goes 9 and 9 and 10 for 10 on those 2 that he made. So just a crazy, bizarre deal there. And then Dewhurst foul when the clock ran out. Chris came and shook my hand, and their team was halfway off the floor, and they didn't know if they wanted to finish the game on a foul or let it go. It kind of took the steam out of maybe the ending, but I know it was the longest 35 seconds of my life.
Yeah, a little anticlimactic at the end because with 0.5 seconds, if that's what was left on the clock, there's probably no more than that. You can't score twice. They had to length the floor. It was already a 2-possession game, so it should have been just waved off.
Right.
But the officials kept looking at the monitor. I'm thinking, let's just end this, right?
No, I know.
And so it maybe took a little of the luster of the end off, but still great way to finish and get the victory. And after the emotion of the loss against LaSalle on Saturday, and going double overtime again, and last night it was the free throws that didn't help you on Saturday, did help you last night, and Dario was fantastic.
Yeah, 10 of 10, and that's more who we've been. So I think we're around 74% for the year. That's where we want to stay, and but no, just once again, just proud of these guys. They've continued to persevere, and we've had some heartbreakers there down the stretch, but our whole thing is this last 8 games, 19 practices in 30 days, focus on playing great basketball.
Coach, you've been so consistent at the foul line all season. It hurt you against LaSalle, but I got a feeling you didn't even mention that going into the Xavier game. Just kind of let it ride.
Yeah, no, if that's been our character for most of the year, you try not to overemphasize it and put it back in their heads again. You know, we just came back and shot them in practice and game day shoot around like we normally do, and guys did a nice job.
Strategy worked.
Yeah.
Coach, our phone number is 704-358-8768. We'd love to hear from you tonight. 704-358-8768. Got the homecoming game coming up on Saturday afternoon. That's a 2 o'clock tip at Halton Arena against George Washington. At 11 a.m., that is the annual alumni game. We'll give you some names of guys who have RSVP'd to come back and play in that game a little bit later on tonight during the show. We'll get to our email questions now, but first we'll tell you that Signature Sports Group is thrilled to announce a new banking relationship and welcomes Fifth Third Bank as the new official bank of Charlotte 49ers basketball. Fifth Third Bank, the things we do for dreams. See what Fifth Third Bank can do for your dreams. The email questions, you can always send us a question at Major49ershow@yahoo.com. Major49ershow@yahoo.com, and it's the weekly 49erfanatics.com email segment. And, Coach, the first question comes from Charles Pipkins. He said, first of all, great win against Xavier last night. It was very exciting. Second, after the game, on the postgame show, you mentioned the Bahamas, which I like, of course. Will the Niners be in this new event down there next fall?
We're trying, to be honest with you. They're a long way away from deciding who's in and who's out and all that. But, you know, you always look at the makeup of your team, you know, as you get into the future. And, you know, basically with, you know, 3 freshmen, you know, recruits coming in with Mayfield, you know, sitting out, Lucas sitting out. And we'll have 5, you know, really literally brand new guys, you know, on the floor. And obviously won't have Hanwan or Dewhurst, but everybody else back. So bringing in 5 new guys, if you could maybe go somewhere and have a trip, you know, in addition to playing some games where you can bond a little bit and you know, just do some team stuff together, it would be great. So we're just exploring options. But actually, I'd mentioned the Bahamas from the standpoint of, you know, we don't want to ever gauge who we play against or how we play, you know, as how hard we play and the quality of how we play. We want to, whether you're Hawaii or Bahamas or home, road, you know, at GW, at St. Joe's, doesn't matter. You always want to play a certain way, and that's the Charlotte way, you know. So, but yeah, I ain't gonna complain. I mean, you know, won't be bad being down there if we could pull it off.
Have they changed the format? I think this year is a one-game situation with Richmond playing Georgia Tech. Is it still just like a one game, or is it more multiple games possible?
I think it's multiple games possible from what I can understand. So I don't know the complete makeup of that particular tournament, but I think it's the one that's held at the Atlantis, the casino down there. So, you know, our name's in the hat. That's all I know right now, and hopefully we'll get some good fortune and get to go.
Next
road
question.
Trip.
Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
I was just going to say it'd be a good road trip.
It sure would. Next question is a Twitter question. First Twitter question we've got is from @ReaganPerry. And, Coach, I would like to know if you enjoyed the whiteout last night, what you thought about the whiteout last night.
Oh, I loved it. You know, you walk out there and you know, the whole student section was packed, and not just the students. I mean, just even the crowd. I don't know, 6,500, I believe, was the attendance, right around there between. I think I saw between 6,000 and 6,500. But yeah, I think you know, when the opposing team sees a whiteout, you know, they got to come out there and think like, hey, you know, it's a extra special deal. The fans are ready for you if you're the opponent. So, but no, the whole. Ever since I got here, and as I've learned more and more, just being around the Niner Nation, the loyalty is phenomenal. And, you know, we just want to continue to try to be the type of team that people want to continue to support and root for and play in a way that makes them get up and get out of their seat and be excited.
Well, the students were great last night. They've been
They
great
sure
all
were.
season long. And,
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll have a good crowd all the way around for the homecoming game coming up on Saturday afternoon. Our phone number is 704-358-8768. We'll take a break, come back with more of the Alan Major Show from the 49erfanatics.com broadcast center here at Wild Wing Cafe. It's from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to the Alan Major Show here on 1660 WBCN. Alongside Alan Major, I'm Matt Sporad with Charlie Frederick as well tonight. Our phone number is 704-358-8768. Hey, folks, here in the 49erfanatics.com broadcast center, we got another trip coming up this year with 49erfanatics.com. It's the Amtrak road trip to Washington, D.C. when the Niners take on George Washington. Now, we're taking on GW this weekend, but we have that return game going to George Washington February the 23rd. So you're invited to ride the rails of Amtrak to D.C. and watch the Niners take on George Washington. Amtrak and 49erfanatics.com are pleased to offer round-trip transportation, overnight accommodations, and game tickets for as low as $215 per person. The train will leave Charlotte on Wednesday, February 23rd, return on Thursday, February 24th. For more details, contact Nick McIntyre with 49erfanatics.com. Phone number 704-309-9831, or the website is the email 49erfanatics@gmail.com. That's 49erfanatics@gmail.com. So a fun trip on Amtrak. If you've not been on a train before, it's a lot of fun. $250 round trip. That's the hotel accommodations, the train ticket, and the game ticket. So if you're thinking about making a trip this year, that might be a fun one going up to D.C. on the 23rd of February. I've not really spent a lot of time on trains. I'm looking forward to making a trip with Amtrak sometime soon. Have you?
It's been a long time. When I was young, as a kid, you could catch it out in Indianapolis and go to Chicago and back and forth. But it's been a long time since then. So, yeah, that might be one of those deals. Jump on it at some point when we get a chance to breathe here in the off season.
Yeah, Amtrak now is sponsored with the 49ers. They have been with my other team, the Charlotte Knights, and going to Durham when we play the Durham Bulls. We've always had a fan trip on Amtrak, and the fans have really enjoyed it. So I think if you have a chance to get away for that 2-day period, you may want to really consider that with Amtrak, again, with 49erfanatics.com, $215 per person. All right, Coach, back to the game this weekend with homecoming. Players coming back. We got about 50 players that have RSVP'd that are going to be in town, 20 that are going to play. Just got a note from Tom Whitestone that even Byron Dinkins now is into playing the game on Saturday. Rashad Coleman, Dwan Harris. We got a long list. We'll get you some of those names a little bit later on, but that game at 11 a.m., it's always fun to watch the old guys come back and play.
Yeah, this would be my first one. So, it'd be exciting to see some of these guys that haven't met, quite a few of them already, but still a long way to go as far as meeting them all. But I think we talked about that last week some. We always want to honor those guys that have kind of come through before we got here because, they built our offices, they built Halton Arena, and more importantly, they built the tradition that Charlotte basketball has. And, as I speak for our staff, I mean, our goal is to, not only maintain it, but, grow it and add to that tradition. So, whenever that day comes, if we leave and we look back and we've left our footprints on this tradition the way it deserves, because I don't know if people really know how many players have been through here and what those guys have accomplished after they've gone, whether it's the Eddie Bastons and Rodney Whites that have played in the NBA or guys that have gone overseas. It's just a tremendous, tremendous tradition and humbling. I get humbled by it every day. So, it'll be fun. Looking forward to see some of these guys come out of retirement.
Yeah, it'll be fun. You're right.
And shoot it up. Yeah.
Byron Dinkins has become quite a coach in his own right. He's at Northside Christian, and they won the big Bojangles tournament over Christmas. And Dink, I never thought he'd be a coach. He was so quiet as a player, but he's obviously come out of his shell. And you mentioned how these guys made a name for themselves overseas. I was in Greece. I had a chance to work at the Olympics there in 2004. I was talking to a taxi driver, and I mentioned to him where I was from. He said, "Oh, UNC Charlotte." I said, "Really? You know the team?"
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, we have a guy named Byron Dinkins who's a star." It was just a small world.
Yeah.
But Dinko's a hero in Greece.
Yeah.
And he's quite a guy. I know you.
Oh yeah, I've gotten to meet him and spend some time with him. He's tremendous. And those guys have sent text messages throughout the year, just throwing their support behind us. And again, it just reminds you, taps you on the shoulder that you're in the right place. When you got those kind of guys. And we talked about that dinner in the fall. It'll be bigger this coming year than it was last year, and that's all about them that night. And this year was fun. By the end of the night, there was jokes and wisecracks being thrown every different direction. So turned into the locker room by the end of the night. But it was fun.
The Bojangles Bow Time top performer from our last week of basketball since the last show. Let's go to the game on Saturday, the double-double and the kind of coming out party for K.J. Sherrill. 24 points, 13 rebounds, 14 of 18 at the free throw line. You talked about how he really had made great strides over the summer before he got hurt.
Yeah.
And now he's more than 10 games into playing games, and he's getting more confidence every time he's on the floor. And that was a fantastic night.
It was, yeah. You just wish for the kid's sake that he's had the chance to kind of, ride with us the whole way, healthy. But he made great strides last summer, and I just felt so bad when he got hurt the first week of practice that, he wasn't just able to pick up where he left off, from the summertime. But KJ's got a tremendous spirit as a player. He loves to be coached. He does whatever you ask him to do. He has great energy, and I think his future's bright. I mean, I can't be more excited to have a chance to coach him for 2 more years. And these springs and these summers, for guys like him that are raw, he's like a ball of clay, and he's going to be a different player. Trust me, come fall than he is now. We're going to find ways to add to his game and build his knowledge, and but he's a sponge in terms of coachability, and that's what you love.
I should ask you this before the show because I'm not sure if it's possible, but with KJ not having played a full season, you mentioned all the newcomers that will have the team next season. You are allowed to make that summer trip overseas, but is it once every 4 years? I know we went to Canada a few years ago. I wasn't sure when that next 4th year falls for us.
Yeah, I think it's the following year. I don't think it's this year, but I think it's going to be the following year, which wouldn't be so bad because now you're going to have, the guys that are coming in, the Lucas and the DeMarios and the freshmen. And then if we take anybody, in that 2012 class, those guys are able to go. So, we would definitely like to do something, whether it's like a Labor Day weekend. Sometimes people overlap it around then. But, you'll have Braz as a senior at that point, KJ, going into his senior year. Mayfield, Luka, those guys will be older. Your freshmen are going to be older. So that team may need it actually more than this upcoming team, just from a standpoint of where you really, try to put it together and have a lot of bonding.
The Time Warner Cable Stat Stuffer, the Time Warner Cable Bundle Package, brought to us by Time Warner Cable. Call Time Warner Cable today and save on bundled TV, internet, and phone packages. Call 1-800-TW-CABLE today. That's 1-800-TW-CABLE. Last night, Coach, great job at cutting the turnovers down, but I thought the stat that jumped off the page with the turnovers was points off turnovers in our favor.
Yeah.
It was definitely on our side in terms of a pretty big margin.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I had the numbers here, but we had over 20 points.
Yeah, I think that we got the ball was kind of felt like a cannonball there to start the game. Got down 8-4, then it's 14-4, 16-4. Guys are a little confident shaken, but started getting the ball inside. But there was a stretch where we got some steals and got some deflections. Even though we were playing zone, guys had their hands up and were active, and we turned a couple of those into some buckets. And I think that energized us. Got us back in the game. All of a sudden, it's 18-18. And now you got your traction again, and now you got a basketball game. So, anytime you can get, I call that bonus points. It's kind of like hitting the back, pinball machine. It's hitting that back bumper. You get 10,000 if you hit the one in the back. That's kind of what it is with turnovers, is bonus points, because you take pressure off your offense when you can score off your defense.
It was 27 Niners in favor, points off turnovers. Yeah. Also a 13-5 advantage, points off the bench last night. Xavier has a small rotation. They play 7 guys primarily. And we did a great job at Kenny Freeze last night. He played 32 minutes, was about 4 minutes over his average per game.
Yeah.
And he had 6 straight games scoring in double figures and didn't come close to that last night.
Yeah, no, the guys did a good job of just, you can't let him get deep position. He's a huge kid. We at Ohio State, we had recruited him and got to know him really well. And I just think guys did a nice job keeping him off what we call the sweet spot around the basket. If a guy can catch it deep and be in an area where he's comfortable, he's going to score. So KJ and Braz did a good job of just staying between him and just force him to take tough shots. And he had some looks, but he, fortunately he missed a few of them.
Your team's leading the league in three-point defense. And people sometimes think that a zone is sort of a lazy man's way to play D, but there's a lot of movement that goes on in order to get to shift back and forth, to rotate, in order to prevent those open threes. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to play a zone the right way, you got to play as hard as if not, or maybe harder than you do man-to-man, because there's a lot of shifting going on. The guys up top got to be unbelievably alert. You have to know where the guys that can shoot are. You got to find them. And then the thing that maybe you miss out on zone sometimes that you get in man is that rebounding. Sometimes in zone, guys won't rebound or guards may not get in there and stick their nose in there. So and we still got to get our zone better. We look at ourselves and we can still make some improvements. But when we can keep people in front of us and not let them get to the rim, that's a good thing for us.
Coach, back to the email questions from 49erfanatics.com. This question comes from Rob Sindelar, and he says, Coach, have you ever been part of a team or a season in which your team played 4 overtime games and all were extra overtimes? Of course, we had the 3 double overtime games and 1 triple overtime. That was at St. Bonaventure. He says, crazy, huh?
Yeah. No. And, again, there's nobody that kicks himself more than I do. When I feel like, maybe, when you go overtime, you feel like you have a chance to win it, even if you do lose it. So, and you can just sometimes lose them if you do win them. We've been on both sides of it. But no, it's been uncommon. But I've been reading a book that Bill Walsh wrote called The Score Takes Care of Itself. And he talked about being in San Francisco, and his record in his first 2 years at San Francisco was 2-14, identically. Both years they were 2-14. But what he talked about was internally how the 49ers' internal culture was changing, and how they lost 5 games by a 1 touchdown or less, in the second year, and then they lost additional 3 games by I think 10 points or less, or maybe 2 touchdowns or less. And he used a phrase that you have to be in the fight to win the fight. And I love that phrase because, sometimes if you do lose a game and you can really get hit in the mouth and, be down 20, those are miserable because you never have a chance. So I know we've had some get away from us, but, we've had our chances and we've been right there. So that's what we want to keep pushing to the guys is that, it's tough in league games to really get separation from people. A lot of these games are close with the scoring margin, but if you can be right there every night and give yourself a chance, then that's what you want to do.
Do you feel like with this team right now, the rotation that you have, last night was 66-62, the success that we've had in games when it's been under 70, where you have a position to win those games, is better suited to this team right now? I know eventually you want to be a team that holds teams in the 60s, scores close to 80, but with this makeup of the group that we have now, is it better for us to try and play in the 60s?
Yeah, that's a great point. And last night was a prime example of that. Right now I would liken us to a football team that runs the ball. A football team that runs the ball is going to grind it a little bit. May not always be pretty, but you get the ball where you want. And you can score around the rim, and it's the tempo that you are comfortable with and that you can play at. Because if you play out of character, now you can run into some issues. But I would agree with you that if this crew, if we can control the tempo and play at our pace and still run when we want, but just be under control when you do it, because we got out last night and ran some and got some easy ones. So it wasn't.
And did against Temple too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it wasn't as if it was a complete turtle race, but if we could be that type of team, controls the tempo, that's what we want, no doubt.
All right, Coach, time for the next break. Charlie will break as well here. TIA Craft Student Athlete Spotlight coming up in a moment. We'll have the next commercial break, come back with our special guest interview segment. And our special guest today is Nick Konowalik, the marketing director for the Charlotte 49ers Athletic Department. We've got homecoming this week, so a lot of festivities going on just outside of the game. So And we'll talk to Nick about everything that's going on this coming week with homecoming. That's coming up next. This is the Allen Major Show from the 49erfanatics.com broadcast center inside the restaurant here at Wild Wing Cafe off Mallet Creek Church Road. You listen again to the Allen Major Show from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to the Allen Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe. And our special guest joining Charlie and myself, I'm Matt Swarad, is Nick Konowalik from the athletic department for the Niners. He's the marketing director and homecoming this week. A lot going on. Nick, thanks for taking the time to come over and stop and talk with us.
I appreciate you guys having me.
So the whole season's busy for you. It's not just basketball. It's the entire athletic program. But basketball is still the engine that drives the train, if you will. And a lot of the fans come out to watch basketball in particular. And, you know, what is it like in your position, what you have to do to kind of enhance the excitement of the fans' experience outside of the games?
Well, first off, I mean, you had mentioned all the other sports. It really is it's a ton of balance. We were just talking about it over at the table. There's, you know, there's more than just basketball to our program, and so we're constantly out there trying to not only just enhance the experience of all of our student athletes, but enhance the brand image of the program. A lot of folks are, you know, we still are, from a brand side, only a 10-year-old brand. So one of our core focuses is really, you know, developing and enhancing that brand. And then, you know, hopefully the combination of that and winning on the court and on the fields helps to really grow our fan base and develop a culture around the Charlotte 49ers.
You were a soccer player in college, went to Delaware. Give us some of your background before you came here and you know, taking over the job as the marketing director.
Well, interestingly enough, I started out as a teacher and taught for 3 years, and that experience was one of those that I really honestly truly believed after teaching. I taught in middle school, and teaching those kids, I really felt I could sell anything. So I went through the process of doing that and wanted to really find something that I truly had my heart into, and athletics was it. You know, you had mentioned, you know, with me playing soccer in college, and I just felt that it was time for me to kind of get to see the other side of that world and see what it took to make that experience for the student athletes like I had. So just going through that, and I ended up going to get my master's degree and ended up at Princeton University and was an intern there first. As most people are in athletics, you start out, you know, going the unpaid route and just trying to work your way into the world, and did that deal and ended up working my way through the Princeton system there from an assistant director to a director, and was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to come down here. It's a completely different experience. I mean, you go from an institution that is solely focused on academics, and their athletics programs truly come second when it comes to the brand and the image of the program. Whereas here, you know, to be able to see a program that has a fan base and people who are supportive of the program, it's a completely different ballgame. I mean, that's not to say that people at Princeton weren't supportive of their program, but it was a different kind of support. They were tied into the programs for a different reason, and so when they came out to games, it wasn't the atmosphere like we saw last night.
I have a friend that has really no ties to the university and made this comment to me the other day. He'd gone out to campus last weekend for some reason. I'm not sure what it was, but he went out there and was just so impressed because he'd never been out there. He'd been for basketball games, but he'd never been out there and saw the entire university, the sports complex and the classrooms, and, of course, the new student union and all the things that have taken place in the last 5 to 10 years. And he came back to me and said, it's the hidden jewel of Charlotte. You work closely with the folks at Signature Sports Group as you promote the athletic department. But what are some of the challenges that you're up against trying to get the message out about the new, you know, the branding, which is 10 years old, but just to have people come out and see what this university is and how it really relates to the whole growth of the city of Charlotte?
To be honest with you, I really do just think it really is just that. It's, you know, encouraging people to come out. I mean, you could go through a laundry list of different things, and that all other programs have the same issues around the city. I mean, between the Bobcats and the Knights and other sports properties. But even if you look at other entertainment options, I mean, there's so much to do around here, and you can go through those different things, and not only just the paid kind of events, but even recreation and different things that kids have to do. And so we're all trying to tap into the same pot. So That's kind of a difficult thing, but I would say, again, it's just from our side is really just growing and developing that brand. Making that C49ers logo that we've got up on the wall over here at Wild Wing Cafe, getting that imagery out there, making people recognize us as a household name, kind of as the Panthers are around here. And I know it's not really, you can't really equate the two. The NFL brand is so very strong, but we want to get there. I mean, I've talked with our assistant AD for ticketing, John George, and we've discussed, our goal ultimately is to build that base, to have that firm base where, that arena every day is maybe not sold out, but close to that capacity. I mean, I would love nothing more than to see 8,000-9,000 people in that building every single day, and we feel like it's a process, but we feel like we're growing that process. I mean, because if you look at across the board, not only at basketball, but the numbers that we have in our programs in terms of attendance just continue to grow each year. And we're excited about that because we really do feel that because of that, people are, that's saying to us that people are starting to buy into the program. When I go around and have my kids out playing baseball and I see another kid wearing a Charlotte T-shirt or a kid walking around with one of those Charlotte backpacks that we've given out, or any of those things, that to me that's a huge win. So it's a growth process.
Yeah.
Nick, one of my pet peeves as a Charlotte grad and a fan of all Charlotte sports is to go into a sports bar and you see every other school's banner in the country. You see Slippery Rock, you see West Virginia, you see Appalachian. Nothing wrong with any of those. Right. But there's one place in particular that I eat at a lot. It's a Wild Wing at the Epicenter. They got every banner in the world, but there's no Charlotte banner. Mm-hmm. How can we change that?
That's
I'll do it. I'll hang it up.
That's something that we've talked about as well, and we actually went through the process. We went around uptown prior to the Bobcats, or to the game, not Bobcats, Time Warner Cable Arena this year, and we went around to the different bars, and we gave out house flags for our season ticket holders this year, and we ended up, we had actually purchased some extra in reserve just for that purpose, and we went around the entire uptown, and any sports bars that we could get them into, we made sure to get them in. It really is. It's just about us getting out and doing the legwork. And I think we've done a lot more of that in terms of going out and trying to get involved a little bit more out in the community. I mean, we did a caravan tour with Lowe's to get out there to the different Lowe's in the towns. And we do make a consistent effort every year to get out and around uptown. And now that we've actually had something tangible to be able to give them this past year, we made sure to do so. So I think, again, it's something where we just have to continue to plug away and get into those businesses and get into their minds that, this is the premier Division I institution here in Charlotte.
And it's probably up to people like me and any fan, really. If you go into a bar and they don't have a Charlotte banner, say, would you mind hanging one? If I brought you one, would you hang it? Because they need to know that the interest is there.
Yeah, and we've talked about that a lot as well, too, is, we've got we definitely have a very proud alumni base. We definitely have a very proud student base. And we'd love nothing more than, those folks to come back to us and say, hey, I was out at whatever place the other day, and, we'd love to be able to get something for them to put in their sports bar or their restaurant. Or, we've got jerseys. We've got different things that we could provide. Wild Wings got a basketball jersey up there on the wall over there.
Right.
And, we've got things that we can put out, and, we've been trying to branch out as much as possible. But any time that folks are in a place, we welcome them to let us know that.
Finally, Nick, we're running out of time, but give us a quick plug about homecoming this weekend and what fans can expect.
Homecoming is definitely going to be a busy day, but we've got I know that there is the homecoming 5K is early in the morning, I believe at 8:30. Then the homecoming parade will be at 10:30. 11 o'clock tailgating starts, and as you had mentioned, the alumni game will be going on. And if you've got a ticket to the game already, you can get into the alumni game as well. And then obviously the homecoming festivities, homecoming court will be coming out. We'll have a king and queen named, and hopefully it'll just be a really exciting atmosphere for Allen and the kids to get out and play. And we've had a couple of nice games this year in terms of atmosphere, and the Tennessee game obviously was I think second to none in terms of atmosphere, and we love going uptown to play because it hits a different crowd for us. But last night with the whiteout, had a really strong student crowd. I was actually joking around today. I think anytime we've had an out game, we've been 5-3. So I'm just going to start throwing colors out there pretty soon to see what we can do. But I think we've had some strong atmospheres, and I would really love nothing less than to have just a great, strong alumni showing, strong student showing, and just give those guys the atmosphere that they really deserve to play in front of.
Nick, thanks so much. You're doing a great job, and really appreciate you coming out tonight to talk with us.
Thank you.
Our guest, Nick Konowalik from the Athletic Department, Marketing Director for the Charlotte 49ers. And our interview was brought to us by Ortho Carolina. Ortho Carolina, you improved. One more segment left with Niners head coach Alan Major. Our phone number 704-358-8768. And from the 49erfanatics.com broadcast booth here at Wild Wing Cafe, this is the Alan Major Show from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to the Alan Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe with Charlie Frederick, I'm Matt Swarat, and Niners head coach Alan Major. Our phone number 704-358-8768. I got some time for a call or two before the night is over. 704-358-8768. The homecoming game coming up on Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock against George Washington. And GW is 11-11 overall, and right now in conference play, they're sitting at 4-4. And they had a nice little winning streak going of 5 straight games, but then they lost 4 straight before beating St. Louis on the 29th of January. And then last night losing at Duquesne, which lately a lot of teams are doing. They've lost, Duquesne's now won 11 straight home games. The score was 84-59. So a tough one there for GW. They're going to try and bounce back this weekend. We're going to try and make sure they don't as they come here again on Saturday at 2 o'clock. For tickets, call 704-687-4949. That's 687-4949. Coach, before we get to GW, one more email question we want to get out there, and it's from the 49erfanatics.com weekly email segment. Charlie's got the question.
And the question comes from William Robertson. He says, Coach, what is on your iPod playlist? Do you listen to any particular music on game day to get you into a routine?
Not on game day too much. Like in evenings and like when you're kind of away from basketball, I'm more of like a, jazz, kind of an old school R&B,
I bet you like Tower of Power.
I don't have anything on there, but I do like them.
I'll lend you one when we leave here.
Yeah, I got some, some old school stuff, Earth, Wind and Fire, Gap Band, some of that stuff. More so like, smooth jazz, like your, George Benson, guys like that. Norman Brown's one of my favorites. Got some few others on there, but that kind of mellows me out because there's enough activity during the day. So to go home and bang my head to AC/DC is probably not healthy. So,
Travis wants to know what's on Charlie's iPod.
Eagles mostly. A lot of stuff like that.
But a lot of mellow stuff. Some rap is on there, just some more of the older stuff, though. These new guys don't have a whole lot to say to me right now. But no, some mostly old school stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy these days going into Halton Arena. Finally, it took me 10 years, but Eric, who runs the arena, when I get in there and everyone's off the floor and I do my pregame stuff, he plays me some Springsteen. So I got a little Springsteen before the games every day too, which is always really nice. Hey, Coach, GW coming up this weekend. We know they're pretty athletic. They usually are, but they've been on a tough little streak of games where they've lost now 6 of their past 7. But we keep saying conference games are different.
Yeah, no, similar boats, that we've been floating in a way. And, obviously what that means is you can throw records and circumstances completely out the window. And then that in itself is A-10 play, So, we both, kind of in maybe the wounded bear thing. And if a bear is wounded, the last thing you want to do is poke him with the rifle and figure out if he's all right or not. So, Carl does a great job. I mean, he was at GW back when we were at Xavier, when I was in the league before. And we had our share of battles with him. One year played him 3 times in one season. You know, back in '04, we played them during the regular season. Really, you know, they hit us in the mouth at their place. Played them on the last game of the season at Xavier, beat them. Then played them in the semis of the conference tournament and beat them. So, but he does a great job. I mean, you're going to get helter-skelter, up-tempo. You know, they can get up and down the floor. So, you know, we'll have to really try to control the tempo and make sure that we get what we want offensively, because they will change defenses on you. And then make sure that defensively, you know, we just don't let those guys get what they want.
As a team, very similar to the Niners with a lot of their numbers right now.
Yeah.
As you look at this game, it's the first of two we take on against George Washington. Last night playing Xavier for the first of 2 times. We've already played Richmond once. We'll play them again. What is your take on it's like an unbalanced schedule, and we have, as it turns out, one of the more difficult schedules because of who we're playing twice every year.
Yeah.
What is your take as a head coach now in this league about the unbalanced schedule? It's hard to come up with a different scenario, but
yeah.
It seems like we've been with the same teams playing the 2 games every year. They're trying to develop rivalries, but
right.
It'd be nice to maybe switch them up so we don't have maybe the big meat of the schedule all the time, and other teams have a little bit of a lesser road to hoe.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's been on the table. I don't know exactly what direction they're going with that, but they've been trying to switch up the partners, and that's what's happened. You know, right now our partners, I want to say Xavier, Richmond, GW, if I'm not mistaken. You know, the teams that you're going to play twice. So no matter what you do, you're playing them twice. But, you know, like you say, they play those. They schedule the games. You got to play them. We want to continue to just to toughen our skin and, like we said, play great basketball down the stretch. That's the goal, is let's be that team here in a month that nobody wants to deal with.
Coach, great win last night. Congratulations, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, fellas. Good seeing you again.
Charlie, Coach, we're done for the night. Want to thank everybody for coming out here to Wild Wing Cafe. Great show tonight. Show brought to you in part by Masson, the home of college basketball in Masson. This game is true. Don't forget to catch the replay of this on Channel 22 on Time Warner Cable multiple times between now and next Thursday. We're back here next Thursday at 7 o'clock for the next installment of the Allen Major Show. Don't forget the next game coming up on Saturday. Pre-game show at 1:30 here on 1660 AM. We'll tip it off after 2 o'clock. Also, it's homecoming, so we got the annual alumni game at 11 a.m. And I kept teasing some of the names throughout the day that'll be coming back to play. Mitchell Baldwin, Rashad Coleman, Dwan Harris from last year, Eric Slim Duncan, Chris Dwiggins, Tremaine Gardner, Ray Gromlowitz, Kevin King, Tremaine Parker, Sean Thaler, Roy Wells, Jeff West, Irvin Williamson, also Byron Dinkins coming back to play, just to name a few. There's still some more coming back to play. 50 players in total will be back here. 20 have said they're going to play in the game at 11 a.m. That'll be at Halton Arena on Saturday. That's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks so much again for joining. For Charlie and Coach, I'm Matt Swarad from the 49erfanatics.com broadcast center here at Wild Wing Cafe. This has been the Allen Major Show from Signature Sports Group. Good night, everybody.